Hey, okay, this question keeps popping up on my Snapchat, so I'm going to do a quick video and expand on it so I can refer people over. So if you follow my Snapchat, BrianK019, you see that I open it up for live Q&As where you can ask me questions live and I'll respond on the Snapchat. So basically, a lot of females asking, how can I get my legs smaller? This seems to be a lot of girls that either from a sporting background or just tend to have more muscle or more body fat in their lower body and trying to figure out how can I reduce body fat or muscle off my legs, because the principle is pretty similar. So I'm going to give you the tips that I've used. This is purely applied knowledge. I'm going to use some of the science to back it up, but the reality is most of it's applied knowledge. It's what I've done with clients who have been in a similar situation and it's worked for them, because in theory, you can't technically spot reduce. You can't reduce body fat from a certain area. It's hard to take muscle specifically from a certain area. That being said, I have done this technique and I've tried this and it has worked really, really well with people. So I'm going to share it with you. So girls basically asking, how can I lose size off my legs, whether it's muscle or fat? What I have found is girls that have a thicker lower body, so their legs are either have more body fat on them or more muscle on them they want to lose. What I found has worked really, really well is going really high. Two things, one for training, one for cardio. What I found in the training is going really, really high volume. So my favorite high volume training system is the DTP system, which is basically a pyramid where you do 50 reps in one set, you rest, then you do 40, rest, 30, rest, 20, rest, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and you climb back up. It's really, really high volume. I think it's 300 reps in total. But what I've found with a lot of my girls, by cutting away from the normal hypertrophy parameters of 8 to 10 reps, where they're tearing fibers and their legs are clearly growing back stronger and bigger, is I've gone away from that and then train your hypertrophy in a massively high range so that you actually take some size off your legs. This is context because it's funny, because with guys, if their calories are high enough, that style of training can make you pretty big. But women, you don't have the hormones, the testosterone, things like that to support you. So what generally happens is you tend to lose size off that muscle group. It tends to get really toned, but you lose muscle off it and you lose size and you lose body fat off that. The other thing then, combine that with low intensity running. So a lot of jogging and low intensity running. I can't pinpoint why this is, because in theory, I'm always saying cardio is the same, regardless, it's the systems that should change, but there's something about jogging and running that just tends to take size off people's legs. And I can't pinpoint why that is, because in theory, all cardio should do the same, but it doesn't. What I found when I've actually applied it with girls is low intensity, like 20, 30 minute jogs, either fast in the morning or post workout or at any time of the day. That in conjunction with really, really high volume training tends to take a lot of size off your legs. Again, I've had girls that have came to me with pretty big legs and we've scaled it down through this. Again, everything else needs to be in place. Your nutrition needs to be spot on. You need to have good supplements in place and all of that. But the main things that I've noticed with girls through applied training with them is bumping up their volume, staying away from the hypertrophy traditional style of training where you're in that 8 to 10 range and going very, very high volume with your training. You can add in the 8 to 10 stuff after it. That's fine, because you're in such a depleted state at that stage anyway. What also happens is, the only theory, and I'm basing this off, again, what I know on the science and what I've used with people, is that when you're working in that kind of volume, you're obviously very glycogen depleted in that area. So it's obviously going to take the size out of it. And over time, if you're constantly glycogen depleted in an area or in a muscle, you're obviously going to take that size down over time. That seems to be what happens with girls when I do this kind of system with them. So they're very, very high volume training in conjunction with low intensity runs. So not sprints. Literally low intensity jogs. They're about 70% of your max heart rate. So if you were scaling it 10 out of 10 as a flat out sprint, you want to be at about a 6 or a 7, where you're just jogging and it's continuous. And using that as your main form of cardio over cross trainer, over rower, over bikes, over everything else. So I hope this video helps. Again, a lot of it's applied knowledge. In theory, a lot of it shouldn't make sense and it shouldn't work because of all the science to back it up. But applied knowledge, I've done this with definitely 13, 14 girls over the last couple of years who've had a similar issue, and it's worked for all of them. So again, it's applied for what I've done with people. It was experimentation, finding what works, and I found this worked amazing. So try it out. Hope it helps. Please like and share the page, and you can comment below. I'll be replying for the next 24 hours.